Ahoy, hoy, everyone! How's it going? Hope you're having a good day today. It is, gosh, what day is it even now? It's Wednesday, that's right. See, Richard's gone, and I have lost all sense of time. I have no idea what time it is, what's going on. It's a thing. Anyway, today we have a very special guest host. Blair Archer is with us, and I'm gonna bring him on actually right now because here we go. Because he's awesome. Hi, Blair.
Hey, morning. Morning, Tricky Leg. How's everybody doing out there?
How are you doing today, Blair?
Doing pretty well. We'll
Very
see if
good.
we
Very.
have another. My special guest is wandering around my feet, seeing if he's gonna attack my cardboard cutouts again.
Oh no. I
They're in
totally
his
get
couch
that.
special spot, so they're
Uh
blocking
oh.
his window a little bit.
Oh well, that's very important. You can't do not block the cat window.
Yeah.
That's rule number one in cat land. That's like, well, Richard. I mean, I just called Logan Richard. I just want you to know this.
Richard's
Logan.
behind you on the other side.
Yes, exactly. Logan, it loves to go and camp out by the window. It's like his doggy TV show. It's super fun for him. All right, so yes, and for those of you who are just joining us today or didn't know, Richard is out of town working this week, so I've been having a series of co-hosts. Christopher Coster was with us on Monday, giving us an amazing tutorial on Bricklink Studio, which I actually immediately went and started like trying to get all the things that he taught us in my head, like by actually doing them. So yeah, it was really cool. And we've got Blair today, and then Friday we're gonna have Yano River Blue will be here with joining me to look at the slideshow pictures. So very excited about that. So let's see what we've got. Let's say hi to everybody first. Let's see who is here this morning. Alex23 is here. Aubrey Kovach. Brett Hooper. Hey, Brett. Brickman Mosaics Art. How's it going? Chris Sir Separator Chalice. Wow, the remarkably short one today. Cowboy Cornado. Ahoy, howdy. Debo Bricks, aka Don Brickles. Still my favorite, like, Lego joke name. Like, I think that's gonna be. That makes me laugh so hard. But I'm old. Donnie Bear is here. Fabufan MKE. Who just Hooded One. John Luttrell, Johnny Cat. Hey, Johnny. Christopher's here. Very good. Christopher Coster. Maraid. Hi, Maraid. Our hard-working slideshow coordinator. Matthew Builds Bricks. Minifig Chick. Ms. Slow Brickta. Rob Zaccardi and the Zaccardis. How's it going? Sarah Silverman is here. Shane Levan. The Hornburgers. Ahoy, hoy, Hornburgers. Zach Martinez. And Zarakino Kim, the calm at the end of the whirlwind of names. Hey to everybody, glad you're here. We are going to, you know what I'm gonna do? If Richard was here right now, sitting next to me, he'd see like, okay, breathe, and I'm gonna have a sip of coffee, which I'm gonna do because I'm kind of moving at warp speed right now. Definitely not casual.
Dial it back, Mr. Solo.
I know, I know. All right, so let's see. We have got. Let's say we start off with pins. How does that sound? You got a pin you'd like to
Oh,
share
I
with us, Blair?
I do. I have one of my favorite pins from a sweet local toy and collectibles shop, Dr. Tongues. I
Oh
found
yes.
this little beauty, the
Oh,
ED209,
very nice.
which is awesome because my favorite thing about it is if you put it on a hat, it immediately falls over. It's like it's like pin poetry. I mean, they couldn't have planned it better. One of my least favorite ones is my Live Long and Prosper, which falls over because come on, that needed a second pin back in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Some of
the
those bigger ones do.
ED209 falling over is just it's perfect. It's perfect. Oh.
um, yeah. Oh, so I've got. Let's see what I'm doing today. I've got a pink Pascal. I've worn this one before, but I'm feeling pink Pascal today. He's very cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now with all the new Friends remolds of that piece, you can actually make it change colors because now there are so many different colors for that mold.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the colors. So many colors. And how about, oh, let's see, I've got, oh, Ms. Flobricta, yes, thank you for the reminder. I'm so sorry. I didn't, you're right, I did not put up the form to submit your challenge builds for next week. I apologize. I was on I did an awesome call at Penn State yesterday and talked a little bit about creativity and entrepreneurship, courtesy Peter Hornberger, who's here in the chat and has been a longtime fan and supporter of the stream. So yeah, so I got to do Richard and I filmed a little video segment, and then I did that, and then I got so focused on this commission that I'm working on, which is adorable, by the way. This guy's proposing to his girlfriend, and he's having me make a bunch of stuff for them, which is really exciting.
Oh.
So I got a little caught up. My apologies. I will put that up as soon as the show is over today.
I didn't know I could have outsourced my Lego proposal. I mean, what did I go to all that trouble for?
You could have. Okay, let's see. I think it is time for stickers. What do you think, Blair? Stickers?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Awesome. Sticker set show and tell. And how about you go first?
Cool. I have one that'll tie into something a little bit later. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that there's a certain theme that this one came from. It looks like maybe I used one here, probably a wooden panel or something.
Oh, very nice.
If the chat will probably be certain, but Lord of the Rings, I'm pretty sure, and I don't remember which building it's from, but I just love having the ability to put so many different textures onto 1x4 tiles and have all this cool fantasy stuff.
Wow, that is super cool. I really like that one.
Yeah, especially that wall panel detail. That thing's really nice.
Yeah. I've got well, we have a couple of sticker sets from that, and they're amazing. So yeah, I think all those Lord of the Rings had really good ones. Okay, so I've got this is from a Ninjago set called Enter the Serpent. And it's actually one of the very first Lego sets that Richard and I bought for parts. So it's got some really cool stickers. It's got this black, like, snake head sticker.
That's cool. With like a multi-points.
Sorry, there we go.
Kind of thing going on. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then these cool, like, torn off pieces of map.
Yes.
And then the real, for me anyway, the real thing was this purple piece with this snake head decoration on it, because it became the basis for my window treatment that I made for our big round room in Treasure of the Snake Queen. So this is one.
I had a feeling some of those got in there.
And you can see it's right here. We made these sort of like snake head. This actually used to have fangs in it, but they have since fallen out. And because we had the stickers, I had found them in our pile of, like in our junk pile of stuff while I was organizing, because I keep all my purple things in one place. And I was like, oh, this is such a great detail. I should totally use it. A great detail piece. And I did. And then as I started going through our bulk, I found more and more of them with the sticker on. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up in the end only being 3 short. So I ordered 2 copies of it, on Bricklink, and I only needed the 3. So I still have 1 remains.
There you go. Now you just have to find something to use all that scroll work in.
Yeah, there's going to be
That's a cool one too.
Yeah, I wonder what that could be, Blair. I wonder what I could use interesting scroll work stickers for.
I mean, those could almost be like a really nice Art Deco ballroom or something even.
It's true, and I have used Ninjago stickers, or actually, no, Chima stickers for my Art Deco movie theater. But again, those were pieces that were already applied. So, Oh, we have some Lego news. Lego news. I'm interested to hear what Blair, your take on the Lego news this week. Um, let's see.
Are we talking about the do 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 do?
We indeed are talking about the doo 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 doo. Um, so this, as usual, our news is coming from the Brothers Brick. Thank you, Brothers Brick, for letting us show your news here on the show. This is Lego Real's new Super Mario sets for 2021, including the Tanuki suit, which I know is a big one people have been waiting for, and it's very cute. But the real thing is not the real thing, but the one thing I know that I've seen everybody kind of losing their minds over, and I wish I could bring this up closer, but this is sort of the let me see if there's a closer up picture of it. Well, let's go through them and then we can talk about that piece. So this is the Master Your Adventure Maker set, 366 pieces. It looks like it's got Junior Bowser. I can't see. I'm having a really hard time seeing it, unfortunately, because I'm kind of
it's
right
got
now.
like one of the smaller Koopas, two of the smaller Koopas. The little ones you usually kind of fight in sequence, and
Got
just
it.
a ton
Here we
of
go.
other enemy varieties.
Let's do this. We'll scroll through the larger photos. See how that goes. So yeah, this looks like a pretty cool. There we go. This looks pretty cool. I gotta say, there's some cool pieces in there. I like those. Look at those plates. Is that plates with the corners cut out of them? And then there are some other plates that look like they are rounded rectangles down there on the bottom right.
Yeah,
Or
are
rounded
they?
squares.
They're like the ones that come with the little character packs, where they've got like that sort of cutout on the corners.
Got it. Yeah, I have to admit to not being super familiar with these sets.
I've only
Um,
played with them once in store. Kind of just took a look at some of the starter sets. This expansion, I mean, I haven't really gotten, because I don't get to hang out with my students and stuff. I haven't really gotten a feel for what kids are feeling about these sets.
yeah.
I think that it could kind of go either way. I think that if a kid's really into it and loves Mario, or loves the way that you can play physically, almost like a board game,
Yeah.
that an expansion set like this is going to be, just icing on the cake. They're going to go to town and have like a whole, multiple shelves in their room with Mario maps all over it and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they
Interesting.
are introducing a lot of new pieces, which is always a good thing. I mean, sometimes some of them look like
Oh,
they
those
might take me a few
rounded.
months of churning over to figure out what to do with them, but
To me, it's those rounded squares are the
yeah.
most exciting part. Um, I'm just so super excited about those. Um, I love anything that's different from that's not square. So, well, we're getting a lot of detail shots here, so we can kind of roll through some of these. Sorry, everybody. I guess we got a little caught up. We got caught up in the slideshow where we're seeing lots of people playing with Lego, which is great. But oh, I like the little wheel, the little ship wheel decoration. I'm afraid we're gonna have to go back to. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you ended up, but I was just kind of looking at the overall.
Yeah, sorry. We ended up in the actual photos with all the details
Oh, like
photos.
the gallery.
Yeah. Here we go. Sorry about that, everyone. We'll be back to it in a second. There we go. And I'm gonna have to change this back again so that we don't get caught up in that same business. I'm sorry, everyone. It's gonna a little bit of. It
Got to
wouldn't
check
be.
off your bingo sheets.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be a broadcast if there wasn't some kind of like technical business going on. All right, so check this out. What I wanted to talk to you about before, and I don't know that we'll get to see a close up picture of it, but right here, you can see my cursor right here. If you look at that green piece right there, that is a new flexible plant piece along the lines of the Friends jungle vines. There's like a big long piece of green rubber with little leaves coming off of it. Really a really cool piece, but this one has thorns, and I am so excited about that. Because I feel a Sleeping Beauty's castle covered in thorn vines mock coming on.
I feel
Um,
an expensive addition to Lug Bulk.
yes, exactly. Oh, there it is. There's a better picture. We did get a close up. Check it out. So there's our little thorn pieces. Those are going to be super cool. Now I hope that those aren't so. Uh, I hope that they aren't going to be prohibitively expensive. But we'll
Well,
see.
yeah, you know, it's always hard to tell when an element like that comes out. Sometimes because they weren't meant to produce a lot of them, they can be super expensive. But that looks like a new, it looks like a new foliage addition
Yeah.
to the assortment. Honestly, I'm sure we'll see some Disney sets probably start to use it if my inkling is correct at all. I do like that it's got the bar connections on the end. It was a little hard to tell from the first thumbnail whether or not it had a stud on that one end, but it looks like it's going into an Apollo stud or a 1x1 round plate with open hole. So
Yeah, that's my guess. Really
you're
cool.
going to need a lot of something green to bind them lengthwise.
That's right. That's right.
So green, start getting your green Technic cross axle connectors now.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at all those purple pieces. That's nice. And including a purple rounded square. I really like that. Okay, and then this is Wiggler's Poison Swamp expansion set. More purple. Look at all that purple.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, that is super exciting. Oh, Bricks and Pieces is gonna be very happy with me. My bank account will not be happy with me.
And then we get the wardrobe. We got the penguin and the tanuki.
Oh yes,
I
we
gotta
have
get,
the penguin wardrobe and then the Tanuki wardrobe.
I gotta get some of those clothing items just to start messing around with them as pieces because the hats are super cute.
Yeah,
I
they are.
bet you could get a brick built head under there. That's just like a little character face.
Now,
Um,
speaking of that, what do you? I'm curious. Like, oh, and then we have more of the little packs. And while we're looking at this picture, we can talk about what I was going to talk about. So the faces on these are printed, right? And I'm curious. Like I use things in mocks that are recognizable yet not recognizable. Like I used the some Star Wars tiles for eyeballs for a couple of mocks, like things like that. But I wonder, like as excited as I am about these cool printed pieces, I wonder sometimes to myself if they are too these particular ones are too recognizable to use in a mock that people aren't going to be instantly reminded of Mario.
well, my first thought is for a lot of them, yes,
Hmm.
but at the same time, we always see that the community always rises to the challenge, and somebody somewhere is going to use
Yeah, they are.
something in an amazing way. I mean, you look at what is that, a shy guy, like, okay, that's a nose, right? So like you can see some of them where they're easily transformed over into something else,
Hmm.
but the other ones, it's just a matter of time before that perfect moment comes where that piece can be something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Somebody will come up with a great one. For me in particular, like I look at that Goomba face and I'm like, that can only ever be a Goomba face.
However, if you took, if you had a bunch of them for whatever reason, you could have a little army of something that uses that,
Hmm.
and then has a
Has a different
different shape
shape.
around it, and you could create some kind of new thing.
Got it.
Again, a little bit harder to step away and get that sort of like suspension of disbelief that it's not Mario.
Well, it's like
Um,
it's like one of those movies where you recognize the famous actor so much that it's hard for you to separate the actor from the performance. Like, I'm
like
and
Lord of the Rings with Agent Smith. You
Oh
know,
yes, there you
that
go. Yeah,
is really hard for me. Really
yeah.
hard.
I understand. Like, I can't see the guy who played Jim on The Office as an action hero, which he is now. Apparently, he's now like action hero guy. And I'm like, no, you'll always be that guy who gave funny looks to the camera. Like, I'm sorry, you are Jim. Um,
Yeah,
let's see. Oh yeah, so there's a little lineup. These look like they'd be cute for parts packs. I gotta say.
it's true. And you know, speaking about it in this way, it's the first time where I was thinking about this whole line when we were talking about it earlier, and that there's an appeal in the way that they designed it to be a system of play, right? So it's within the Lego system, but it's kind of a game within the system, um, and it's very fun, and it doesn't have a lot of consequence. And like I, again, haven't really gotten to feel out the mass appeal for it,
Yeah.
but and in my mind, I'm like, well, what if we had just gotten the sets that we had kind of been asking for a long time, which is Nintendo sets with Nintendo minifigures and Nintendo themes, you know,
Right.
Zelda and Mario and
Well,
Sonic and whoever. But
I'll tell you.
this,
Mhm.
well, real quick, this allows this system of play and this theme to go on to be more parts to make other things.
Yeah.
Whereas if we'd gone the other direction, we would have had a bunch of specialty molded characters and enemies, and you know, they would have locked them into probably making the enemies like they made the characters. And then
Right.
we'd basically be just like the way that Mega Bloks or whoever was tackled it, and you'd have, you know, one time use, like it's a Goomba, and it's a, you know, it's like a molded
That's what
Goomba.
you got. Yeah, I mean that
So
is good. And I will
yeah,
well, I'll also say on that now, and this is only coming from having been in the sort of toy collecting world and hearing things, what is very likely, and you know, I know a lot of people really want those minifigures, but what is very likely is that somebody else, maybe even Nintendo themselves, owns the license for action figures.
yeah.
And minifigures are, I believe, considered action figures. It's really weird the way that all
It's
works.
like I think we talked about it once with the whole Marvel thing, and yeah,
Yes,
it's
yeah. And then also, I wanted to point out, while we're talking about cool parts, look at the top of that Goomba. Do you see what I see? I see a white grass piece on the top of
oh
his head.
whoa,
That is a white grass piece right there. That is white grass, my friends. Very excited about that. And I really like that dish with the blue and white stripes on it as well. But yeah,
yeah,
that
that's
is
like, oh my
indeed white
gosh, talk
grass.
about micro scale beach scene. Those little as little umbrellas.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, two or several really good pieces in there. So yeah, I know white grass. Everybody's losing their minds. Yeah, it is. That is in fact white grass. So already we've got like a couple of
beautiful.
cool new pieces. White grass, those thorn pieces. Um,
How about the little legs on the Shy Guy too? Those are, I want to see how those function because those are really cute.
oh
So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just noticed those because it's an interesting mix, right? Of
Ooh,
like
look at all that.
a
Cool.
piece that's kind of new and proprietary and different, as well as pieces that are classic.
Yeah.
Um, like just like the little eyes on the little mushroom are great, you know, because you can take those out and you can put them somewhere else. It's kind of like the Minecraft stuff. Like at first I wasn't super into some of the Minecraft elements, but then I started seeing, you know, when they started printing the little one by one plates with eyes or dots on them, like that's really cool because now you can add a texture to such a micro scale item, you know, whether
Yeah.
it's a minifig scale or micro scale, you now have printed itty bitty teeny little pieces. So that's pretty cool.
That yeah, there's a I mean, and look at that with all of them lined up together. It's funny. I look at that and all I can see is an empty bank account. Right? I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, there is a lot of there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, and I think I may mine those little blind bags for parts. But overall, I'm just the Mario thing was, you know, happening when I was like, you know, too cool for school, and I was just out of high school or in high school, and I had so much other teenage angsty things going on and which is funny because I was super into uh my Atari. Like when we had Atari, oh man, I was super into Atari. But it and then I like lost yeah, like I lost touch in video games in my later teenage years and early 20s. But then I got back into it with a vengeance. So there you go.
What goes around comes around. I mean, the same thing with Lego for me. I grew up. I remember the original Mario. I'm old enough to remember playing the older brother's NES that now the younger brother was playing. And yeah, it's gone in cycles. I had a huge vintage video game collection later, and then now it's gone, and then now I'm gaming again because I have the kid, and it
Right.
comes and goes. It's awesome. I
And I
think
just
it's cool though that they took such an outsider approach to this theme because I think it is going to give us a lot more value in the long run. Whether it has to do with them experimenting with and perfecting, some sort of AI. Essentially, it's an AI brick that's a playable brick, which is different than a programmable brick.
yeah.
In that this one is like pre-programmed, or just having the idea of like doing a board game in general. Like I think it's a cool. And think about how Ninjago is leaning towards D&D, right? Like, what if we saw an interactive Ninjago game board set? Like what if there was a whole theme designed around like not only can you use your imagination, but we've actually instituted a game play to it. That there
Ooh.
are interactive devices and point systems, and you could get very D&D like it very quickly. It'd be cool. I mean, interactive Lego
So
Dungeons and Dragons map. I mean, I've been using Lego and D&D for a while, and it's one of the best team ups already. So
oh yeah, yeah.
cool.
It's those sets look really cool. I was looking actually the Lego catalog has the picture of the skeleton dragon in it that looks so cool. Um,
Definitely a highlight set from that
yeah,
line.
really excited about that. But of course, for the ultimate D&D, and I want to figure out how to reverse engineer it so that I can build it. Is Wes Talbot's Beholder model that he made? I don't know if you saw when he was here on the show. That thing was amazing. Like it just makes me like every time I see it, I get very excited. It was really really cool. It was a really cool model. But yeah, it's interesting seeing that. Well, I talk about that a lot, especially with like Twitch, and that is the gamification of our lives. Like our lives have become gamified
Yep.
in like I think ways that people don't realize. Like it's very subtle, but I mean not so much with Twitch. Twitch is very unsubtle about its gamification. I mean it's like right there, but but things are all like social media and all of that they is gamified a bit.
Yep.
To,
And there's it makes me think of other things too. Like I saw I saw a live police chase, and it had like the miles per hour of the guy running like from the cop. It's like or like our Fitbit, right? Like so gamified, right? It's literally your mini HUD for yourself. It's just a matter of time before it's in your contacts, and it just says like, oh, well, there's my heart rate, and
oh yeah,
I need to eat in 30 minutes. That's good to know.
yeah, that's Richard's big dream is that one day. Well, of course he says glasses because old school, but he wants the glasses that'll have the readout to tell him people's names at conventions because he's really
Oh yeah,
terrible
yeah,
with
yeah.
names.
The like intelligence community type
Yeah,
readout.
exactly.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
scanning
Yeah.
face. Yeah.
But golly. Oh, so talking. Speaking of parts, it's a great segue, right? Speaking of parts and use of parts, we kind of we had talked earlier about weird parts. And I think we've talked about this before on the show, maybe, but I think a long time ago when we did our show about organizing Lego, is that you always end up with like this box or two or three, depending, of weird parts that are kind of uncategorizable. And I wish, actually, I kind of want to visit my my weird bricks a little more often now to find seed parts, especially like now that I know more about Lego than I did 5 years ago when I first started like organizing everything. It's funny because some of those boxes I made like 5 years ago and haven't been in, and I'll go and I went into one the other day and I was like, this isn't a weird part. This is totally that thing that I have a whole box of over there. But at the time, it seemed like weird and uncategorizable to me.
Like when it first came out, and you're like, "Oh, this new mold," and you put it aside. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. There's all kinds of weird things. So let's talk about weird parts, Blair. You're kind of like you're super into the weird parts and making
Well,
things out of them.
yeah, I didn't want to jump ahead too quickly, but actually there was a good segue when we were talking about the Mario parts and like, oh, well, that part is clearly this and it'll never be blah, it's super hard. So that made me think of a very specific weird part that I used in a mock a while ago, and I haven't really seen it get a lot of play in any sets since. It's this piece
Oh yes, from Cars.
from Cars. Yep. But what a cool shape, right?
Yes.
So I used it in my Joker condominiums, in Poison Ivy's room as
Oh,
a wall planter.
can you lift up a little bit? Oh, very nice. Oh, and there's those
And
vines we were talking about earlier.
this wall actually opens up because the whole building was modular. So,
Oh, Blair, that's gorgeous.
thanks. So this is the little wall planter. So I got some snot bricks in there so I could put the little cacti and stuff growing off the wall. But you put it on the wall and you can't see the eyes down there. So
Right, right.
it really hides that.
Wow, that's great. And I love your. What are those? What is that? What is that
This,
like? That, yes, the pink thing that I must have
these
immediately.
let me see. I think I can gently yank one out of here. They're a bionicle piece that, crazy enough. Okay, okay, ready? I found these on the floor at a restaurant. And I found two of them, and I was just like,
My heart.
it was like, is that a messed up tomato from someone's food? And I picked it up, and I was like, it's Lego. How cool is that? And I was like, and it's the coolest freaking bionicle Lego piece I had seen in years, and they were under the table I was eating at, and I was like, brave enough to touch the weird food-looking thing on the ground.
Good for you. Hang on, now I have to write that down. So it's does it have a part number on that?
Yeah, hold up. Let me shine it towards
Wait, no, you
the-
can email it to me because I don't want everybody going on Bricklink and buying them all before I get there. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I've seen some other people use them now as like kind of evil roses and stuff like that. But so cool. I mean, it's practically a little shop of horrors as a Lego piece.
Yeah, it is.
It's super cool.
No, yes. Well, if
Another
anybody,
weird part.
actually, I bet you our Queen of Links is probably already on it. She's probably already on
It's probably
Bricklink.
already up and people are buying it.
I know. So actually, why don't you show us another one of your cool weird parts while I go grab my box of weird parts because I forgot to bring it over here. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put
let's
you. I'm gonna give you the screen. There you.
Gosh, I didn't grab a ton, and I'm now stuck under my. Oh man, my little friend here. But I grabbed some other ones that I had ordered recently too. Or getting more of these, the rings that came from that Black Panther set. That they're like a weapon, and they only have that little bit of bar there. But just a really, really cool element. And I ordered, multiple of them, and so I'm just kind of messing around, seeing what kind of patterns and shapes we can come up with these little rings, because they're just so fun. I can't wait till they're out in, maybe enough colors to do like the Olympic symbol.
Oh yeah.
Because we've got like the gold one now, and we got this blue one, and I think I've seen a green or red or somewhere. Yeah, there's just so much new stuff coming down the pipeline. It's fun to play with it all.
Yeah,
I was
there is.
looking for weird parts last night, and instead I got weird with some not so weird parts.
Well, I
I
found
just-
one.
Yeah, what do you got?
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
have this is
Even
super
older
cool,
school.
and
Mhm.
I would love to have a bunch of these. I don't know quite what to do with it because I've only got the one, but it's a really pretty awesome part. Now, is
And
this Hero
definitely a-
Factory? Does anybody know?
It might even have been Bionicle still at that time.
Oh, all right.
Because those are on the older side. But they're definitely one of the pieces where if that slide bit comes out with the spikes that
Mm.
people are like don't even know what to do with it. They don't know it's Lego and that kind of element, you know.
Yeah, I am afraid actually sometimes that early on in our Lego collecting that I mistook actual Lego for non-Lego and threw it away. Like that always that always gets me. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man. And then I found also these. No, actually, I saw Avernus Workshop, I believe, used this in his butterfly piece recently.
Oh, those are great.
The,
Yeah.
these, and then there's this sort of central piece too that goes with it, that has, so you can really, you can
Yeah.
put things on.
I
It's a
I
really
still have
cool
a ton
piece.
of those from AquaZone when I was a kid,
Uh
and they're
huh.
all in yellow. And
Yep.
they were such a cool piece to like just mess around with because it was so tubular and it felt very much like a mechanical hydraulic water pressure systems, and the snot effects on the vertical one were really intriguing too because of the way that there's like the gap between them and stuff.
I definitely want more of those because
Yeah.
those are really cool.
They don't come in a lot of colors though. It's the green, yellow, and maybe some black ones. I can't think of a lot of other colors off the top of my
I
head.
love this. Um,
Oh yeah, the
that's
big
such a
shields from the
that's
knights.
yeah. These are really cool pieces. I've got a couple of them now. I really want to do some kind of creepy scorpion army something castle something something.
That one is particularly awesome because it has so many studs on it.
It
Some of the other
does.
ones don't
It
have.
does. It's got 2x4, so like 8 studs on the body. You could put a 2x4 brick there, and then it's got a stud at the end of the tail, and then a stud in each of the claws
Yeah,
or the
that one's
pinchers.
totally clutch. That's super cool.
Do you have any more, Blair?
I mean, Poison Ivy's room is full of them. I mean, using like the little street sweeper things for plants.
Oh yeah, the little
Um,
brushes. Oh, I didn't know those came in green. That's kind of cool.
yeah, they were in like just one. Oh, it was a Mixel. I was like, oh, I got to get that Mixel because it had two like street sweeper brush arms. It was during
Oh,
the city theme that was all kind of like municipal vehicle kind of guys.
look what I just
Oh, those are
found.
cool. I have a
Okay,
big bag of those in orange. They're
so do
so
I.
wild.
We were just talking about these on the show the other day, Blair, on Sunday, I believe. Richard was talking about how we have a whole bag of them and that we would give them to somebody if they wanted them because for the life of me, I cannot. I mean, it
If
hurts my
you
brain.
So put two of them together, which is what's really cool is if you put the two of them together and you make what does it make a hexagon? Or yeah, if you put them like if you use the underside and you plate the two together, you get this really wild shape, and then you can plate the outside studs together and you can make a fully enclosed
You know, feel
shape
stuff
with
again.
four of them.
So what's weird about this is it's got the 4 studs on the top, 4 on the side, 4 on the other side, and then the underside, like the underside of a plate here. And
And
then
yeah,
you have all that.
and
And
the
I'm
tubes on the other
sure
side.
there's lots of potential that people will find, and I guess maybe I'm just not as creative as I would like to think because I racked my brain. One day I just sat with them and like put them all together. I was like, I can't. It's breaking my brain.
Yeah,
So
they're a fun geometrical madness. That one. I mean, it's what's great though is the way that the math lines up, which is actually what ended up happening last night. Is I was like looking at weird pieces, and then I was just looking at all that lug bulk that I was showing you, and then I grabbed my big bag of Brickheads bricks.
oh,
Um,
I need a bunch of those. Those are great pieces.
and so I was playing with the math, and I was just like, well, because I just love coming up with tessellations of parts when I finally get enough to do something with. I'm like, how can I use all of them up at once?
Right.
Um, and so they passed the this
What?
circle test, right? So
Wow.
which is
Oh,
cool.
hang
And then I
on.
was
You're
like, all
not on
right,
screen. Hang on.
okay.
There we go.
So they've
Wow.
got the expert builder test works, right? And you can also You can plug a pin into that, which is cool.
Whoa, that is excellent.
Oh, and it
Whoop!
exploded. They get stronger as they get bigger, though. So you can go up a size. You can do that's a
Wow!
2, and that's a 3 long bar. Fits perfectly in there. So you want to brick build your own jail window, and then you can put a couple of plates on the outside, and now it's strong. Like now I can like squeeze this thing. It's not freaking crushable, which
That's
is awesome.
crazy.
And then you can keep going, but it just gets bigger. So you go sets of 3,
Wow.
and it is too long for a 4 long bar, too short for the other ones. But if you put the antenna in there, an antenna pretty much gets you all the way across, which I thought was pretty
crazy.
cool.
So
Laser
cool.
gate. And then so I had gotten a bunch of mixels too. So just like framing up sort of nightmarish mixel monsters.
I love those mixel ball joints. They are the magic piece.
Yep. It changes everything.
Yeah, it really does.
And now I finally have like all the varieties. So with the ball and on the bar was one of the ones that I was really waiting to get a bunch
Oh,
of.
yeah, the toe ball. Excuse me, the toe ball with bar.
And what was weird is they came from the Lego store, and I've used them somewhere else. But so everybody knows that these are like light gray, dark gray, light gray,
Yeah.
dark gray. So there was like a Lego in-store mini build that used dark gray matching ones. So there are
Oh,
dark gray balls and dark gray cups. They're just not in like big circulation yet, which is really cool. And I'm hoping that we'll get more colors of these parts, because then we can start building smaller stuff that actually has good color matching. So
yeah, that's always I always have found that, especially when we were on Lego Masters, those that the multiple colors of those drove me bananas because you end up seeing the cup or the ball at some point unless you're being really covering everything up.
yeah, I dream of a new Mixels type series that will help address that. Whether it's like a line of little buildable robots or little buildable animals or something where like, oh, the tiger one gets orange joints, and like, the lion one gets yellow joints, and
That would
the
be pretty cool.
crocodile gets green joints, and just make a ton of them, and then we'll all buy 50 of each. I promise. I promise.
At least 50 of each. Whoa.
Trying to figure out how to
Oh,
use those shield pieces in something. So
that is awesome. That's like a scorpion tail. Like,
yeah.
it's super cool.
And then I've
Wow.
been messing around with the 1x2 rounded plates a bunch. I got a bunch of those. So they're just so fun. Anything that can cut corners and round things out and create flexibility and organic shaping. I mean, I can just play with it for hours.
Wow.
What do you have? Do you have one of those shields in your hand?
No, this is a different piece. This is a another weird piece. So
Oh yeah, those are cool.
this
So
attaches
like,
onto the ceiling, so like on the underside of a plate, or right, and then
yeah,
it's
they're
got
like big airplane landing gear.
yeah, and it's got like two Technic pin, well, actually technically four Technic pin holes, and then pins slash axle. Or I don't want to say axle because it's not the cross piece. It is a pin. Two pins sticking out on either side. So yeah, look at that. It's super weird.
Yeah, those are cool. Really good greebling element, or like a industrial architecture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And structural too. I've definitely used them to stick to the underside of something, and then you can run pins through all that. I mean, it's really strong stuff.
Now this is so here's an example of one that I put in my weird things box a long time ago, and now I have several more, but I think this is a highly underrated piece.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
There's so much room for so many clips on there. You can
If I'm
really
not
fit a
mistaken,
lot.
I feel like I remember when those first came into circulation, it was the shark cages for the original Divers series when I was a kid.
Ah, okay,
So
got
they
it.
did one on the bottom, one on the top, and then the double-sided ladders were new as well. So they clicked top to bottom and made the shark cages for the divers to go in.
Oh, that's awesome. I love, yeah, just finding all this weird, like, I'm just digging through here. I haven't been, I think these are like Quidditch hoops or something at some point.
Oh yeah, and you can also sit the basketball hoop in them. They're
Oh,
from the
oh yeah,
sports.
that big one, that big one.
Yeah,
Ah, very cool.
the one that
Nice.
doesn't have any other connective components. It just kind of sits in that little lip there.
Got it.
I mean, I guess maybe it has. You can do bars on the outside of it too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the one that you're talking about. Oh, now here's one that they nobody uses much anymore, but I really love this piece. And again, this is from I put it away a long time ago, but this was the piece that has the rotating bit that fits inside. It snaps in, and you can flip it. A lot of times, it was like stained glass windows and stuff that they would put
Or
in there.
the secret doors, the revolving secret
Yeah,
doors.
revolving secret doors. So a really
Yeah,
cool, kind of weird old piece.
yeah,
Love
those
those,
are rad.
like that a lot. You got any others for us, Blair?
I didn't have as many close at hand.
That's okay. Here's a good
I mean,
one.
I guess I have some. I have some cool
I love this.
printing heads and stuff in here.
And it's like a little. It's got a little place that snaps into a hinge here, so that you can lift it. But it's really nice. Oh my goodness, you're right. It is that special time. You know what, Blair? It's that special certain time of the day. Ooh.
This was a
Oh.
cool effect. It's
Yeah, it
that like
is.
um, and it's hard to describe. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but gets that 3D fly eye effect. I thought that that was a really cool thing that they pulled out for these wings, but we haven't really seen that treatment on anything else. So. But they're also very flexible, which is nice because sometimes these pieces get bent out of shape and they like to hold that shape. But if it's got some bend to it, it seems to be better off in the long run.
Nice. Well, hey,
It's
you know
that
what?
time, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's that. It is past that time, actually. So let's see, everyone. It is that certain special time of the day for our special guest. Um, Here we go. Logan.
Look, Sammy. Mama.
Come on. Yay! And he didn't try to. He didn't try to jump on the table today. Yet. Very good. Here we go.
This cat loves avocado. Oh my gosh.
And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Can you catch it? Or can Daddy throw it this way? Here we go.
There you go.
Yay! What a good boy. Good boy, Logan. Yay! All right, that's
Oh,
Logan
yeah.
cookie time.
Oh, Lego day.
Very good. Very good. So, I wanted to talk a second about, well, not a second. I wanted to talk about two things. First of all, was how we met, which was actually online. On not like online, but like via Instagram, I think, or Facebook, one or
Maybe
the other.
AFOLs of Facebook or Gay Falls. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one of the two. But so we actually, you know what? I think it was Instagram. I'm
Maybe
pretty
it was
positive
Instagram first.
But anyway,
It feels like so long ago.
doesn't it? It does
Like
feel
2,
so long
3
ago.
years ago now.
And so we talked a lot, and then the first time we actually got to meet in person was at Bricks Cascade. And I got to say, the other day somebody said you should put a bingo square for Bricks Cascade because you talk about it so much. Well, I want to say in our defense, well, not defense, but I just wanted to say like it was a singular experience, unlike anything I've ever experienced, like ever. First of all, and also too that really. I mean, not to get like sad for a second, but like that was supposed to be the beginning for all
Right.
of the Lego Masters season 1 contestants. That was like the kickoff. That was like the beginning of our victory lap, basically, for doing the show, and it ended up being the end.
Yeah.
Which and we started lockdown before the show even ended, like before the series even ended. So that made that really that's been a tough thing, like emotionally and mentally, to deal with. I have to say, and so really, that's what we have. Like Bricks Cascade is what we have, where we were all together. It was the first time we're not all of us, but we were, most of us all together in the same place at the same time. I haven't seen any of those people since, which makes me really sad. But it was. But if I was gonna say, if we only got one to go to one part of the victory lap, if that was the one, then I'm okay with it because it was a phenomenal experience, and I met so many cool people, and I got to meet you, in person for that, and I literally it was so dumb. It was so silly. Like I saw Blair across the room, and I literally ran across the room like one of those dumb movies. I call, "Oh, I'm running in slow motion."
The
There's my
music
friend.
played.
The music
It was great.
played. It was very silly, but also like, for me, a meaningful meeting of somebody that I had, had spent so much time talking with online. So that was an incredible experience. I met Brett Hooper there, and my gosh, just like so many people. It was an incredible, and uplifting experience. Um,
And it was just a great show too. I mean, it is really sad that it was the last big thing of the year, but at the same time, what a thing to go out on. For all of us that got to experience it, it was, it's a great thing to hold on to for what we're shooting to get back to. And
right.
that's awesome. Like I mean, it was a killer show.
It
Y'all
was.
had your awesome collaborative build. I had worked my took us off for a whole month plus to get my thing up and running as best I could. And, I had stretched myself really thin, but at the same time, I was like, this is going to be the big show. And again, I was going to be like, 2020 is going to be my year, said everyone.
Exactly. And I have to say that I'm um, one of my favorite moments was introducing you to Crystal and Amy. And especially Amy, because I was like, oh, these two are so on the same wavelength, design wise and stuff. And that was just, and I remember, I have a picture of it somewhere of them helping you with your wearable, your amazing wearable. And yeah, that was an incredible experience. Um, and and in meeting you, of course, we found that we have a lot in common. And one of the big things that we have in common is that we are both Lego educators. And I don't mean like we work for Lego education. I mean that we go and teach kids Lego. And
Build
that's,
cool stuff.
we teach them how to build cool stuff. They're at least I'm not sure, Blair, how far yours, like how deep yours goes, but when I was doing it, there was a huge Technic element, and we used motors and battery packs, and I was very fortunate enough, that the company I worked for provided everything. Still had to haul it all around to schools, and that was the thing too that was interesting about that job is even though I would teach at one school for like a month and a half, it was a different school every day. So I would be at like X school on Mondays for a month and a half, and then a different school on Tuesdays, and a different school on Wednesdays. So I taught, in 5 different schools a week. And, I must have taught at least 20 or 25 local schools in the area. And it was really fascinating to kind of see um, the differences and also the similarities between, that you notice when you start really like having a wide range of kids from different socioeconomic backgrounds and all kinds of, I mean, there's just it's really spread across, and seeing their approaches to building is always really fascinating to me. But I'm interested to know, so like now tell us a little bit about how you teach, like what are your classes like and where do they take place, and obviously right now they're online, but
Yes. So initially, it was not I didn't set out to become a Lego educator, but a local librarian reached out to our Fort Lug, and wanted someone with more expertise to come in and lead some of their in-house Lego programs. A lot of libraries have a Lego event of some sort, but it's usually just dumping out some brick, maybe a staff member hangs out, maybe they have, a selection of kits that everybody builds, and then they break them down and they put them all back away. But for the most part, it's pretty laissez-faire, just laid back, glorified daycare sometimes ish. But
Okay.
they wanted someone who can, like, really lift that up and engage with the kids, and it was just as excited and knowledgeable about the parts as the kids were, if not more so. And a
Right.
lot of librarians are already like, I have so much to do and I'm not super into Lego. Like, somebody come make this awesome. And so I was like, I'll give it a whirl. And that was like 7 years ago, and I've worked with over a dozen libraries now in 3 counties in the Portland metro area. I've done camps, classes, technic, stuff for teeny tiny little kids that can't even talk, all the way up to some really cool teens who actually come to our conventions now. And
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
it's really cool. Um, and yeah, it is incredible to see just the way that different people approach the brick. I've even done some stuff for adults. It
Uh-huh.
didn't really take off as well because I think that when I did it was a couple years ago. It was before the show came out, and Lego's steadily, exponentially getting more popular, but it really hadn't gotten to the point where the average adult was like, "Oh, I would like to play with Lego."
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so I got a few walk-ins, which were cool. My favorite experience actually being a woman in her 70s or 80s at least walked by and was just like, "Oh my gosh, Lego! I haven't seen this in so long." And she comes in and she's like, "Can I build something?" I was like, "Actually, it's an adults' evening. Like, we're supposed to be hanging out and building with other adults. Sure, come on in." And before I knew it, she was building something, and she's like, "I have a really weird question, but do you have anything in like a, I don't know, a doo-doo brown?" And I was like, sure, what are you looking for? I've got brown, we got brown. She's like, because I spent so many years as a city planner, and I'm doing a sewage planning map. And she was looking for her sewage line. She needed a long one wide plate in brown for the outgoing waste line. And she drew a map of a city sewage plant. And I mean, it's just
That's
so
amazing.
anybody can build anything is what I've really come to learn, right? Is like,
Hmm.
you can build anything with Lego, right? And you can use any piece, and then anybody can do it. It's just a matter of sitting down with some bricks. If you're saddled with really limited parts, you work with what you got. I mean, I remember back in early 90s, after school care, when they dumped out Lego for us, again, basic bricks, right? A
Yep.
lot of us in the older generations of the community talk about, like, well, in my day, it was just 2x4s. And it's like, I had a little more than 2x4s, but I do remember, like, the 2x2, 45-degree slope in trans clear, windscreen for a robot. Like, there was no other piece to do so. So
Right.
it's cool to watch, in different counties. Like you said, the socioeconomic level makes a big difference. You get the kids who are, at home so flushed with Lego that all they're interested in doing is seeking out parts that they don't have or playing with minifigures.
Yep.
Um, and then you get out to rural areas, and some of them are just like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen this much Lego in my life." And it's so heartwarming to give them the opportunity to build on the level of someone who can have as many bricks as they want, even if it's just for a short period of time, to
Yeah.
get their expression and their creativity really ramped up like that is like so awesome. Which
Yeah.
is why I've been working hard to do virtual offerings for this year. And unlike some of our other friends, Corey and Boone and folks like that, I've been doing pre-recorded sessions, so they're actually up on. I've been sharing them on my YouTube once they've been out for a while, letting the libraries release them exclusively,
Oh,
um,
cool.
and kind of going like a little bit of a Mr. Rogersy, Bob Rossi kind of, just like, let's play with some bricks and like let's make some cool things and learn some techniques, and some easier stuff and some more advanced, funky like NPU stuff, just to keep them engaged and educated when we're all stuck at home.
Yeah, I've been I'm still working on getting classes together. But my so it sounds like our experiences are somewhat different as far as um, I mean, now, did you have specific projects, or was it really more like we're just building whatever?
I would do a monthly theme. So I would bring like a couple of animal models in and be like, we're gonna build animals, and then I'd bring a whole bunch of mixel
Thanks,
joints and be
Dan.
like, everybody gets like, as many mixel joints as they want to build different animals with, and then I'll help you find the pieces, and we'll assemble whatever kind of animal it is you're after. So if you wanted to build a cat, like let's do a cat. If you want to build a crocodile, like let's talk about articulated tails, and like let's get you the green pieces you need, and then I would change it up each month and do something different. But it was all free form, and it was all like at their own pace, in their own spots, with just mountains of Lego to build with.
Interesting. Yeah, so it sounds very that is very different, and I'm obviously now I can't do the classes the way that I used to teach them when I was working in the same way, um, because ours was much more focused. So the on a particular build. So each week there was a specific build that I would have pre-built ahead of time, and say, okay, this is the thing that we're making today, and then we would all sit, and I would take the entire thing apart, show them all the parts, and then I would put it back together in front of them, and then okay, now go make yours. And I would lay the parts out for them so they knew exactly how many they needed, and I would make sure they knew how many. And then they would go off on their own and build the project and coming to me if they needed help. And then we would get, hopefully if they had the time, they would expand further on the build. Um,
So a little bit more of a controlled environment.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
still had the freedom, and it wasn't. Because as you know, working with kids, there's even with adults, there are some of them that
It's
were like,
always herding cats.
exactly, but there's always one who's like, I don't want to build that. Okay, well, you don't have to. I was like, that's the project we're building today and we're working on. I was like, you can, if you decide to build on your own, I won't be able to help you as much because I don't know, like I can't tell you how to build something I haven't built before, but I can, if you're building this project, then I'm happy to help you with any steps. And it was interesting. Like most of them would end up kind of coming around and making the thing, um,
Mine
whatever it
was
happened to
it.
be for that
Yeah.
week.
That's I'd be interested to watch that unfold, because for me, as a agent of chaos, that doesn't really work for me. And like the the end result that I wanted was kids getting creative. So I would bring in models that I'd built, and I was always happy to break stuff down and like open stuff up and show them even some of my more advanced models. Like I'd bring in the Heartbreaker or something I was working on, and like let them touch it and like see what, oh, that part's fragile, and I'll show you why. Like this is why, I cut this corner to create this effect, and that's why it's fragile. And no, it's okay that you broke it. It's Lego. Like trying to
Got it.
have these little life lessons mixed in amongst a very organic platform. And then they'd be like, well, what if I don't want to do a winter build? And it's like, it's not a dictatorship. You can build whatever you want, actually. Like, and I would tell them the same. Like I'm I'd love to see everybody's builds together on this table at the end and have it be a winter scene, but that doesn't mean that you can't build a beach in Hawaii or a
Yeah.
dragon or whatever. Like you can build anything. And that was really cool because you would the kids were used to having so little freedom. I think that's what I was really finding out, is that people would show up to the programs, and you get 40 to 100 people in this
Right.
room, and like some of them would come with this expectation, like you're going to tell me exactly what to do, um, but I don't. And I think that they're just like, at first they're, whoa, like, because I think art class is a very unusual thing to people, right? And that's kind of more how I approached it. And an art class can be some people's favorite thing because
Yep.
of the freedom, and some people's most uncomfortable subject because of the freedom, right? Not
Well,
having a delineated, uh, end result that you're heading towards, then you don't know which direction to head. And so that was actually part of the fun for me, was helping people find their creativity, and helping kids solve those problems, because that was a lot of it for me. It was like, okay, they want to build this, but maybe they're a really new builder. They're only like 6 or something like that. And so then it's well, what do you know? Like, do you know about physics? Do you know about, clutch strength? Do you know about snot bricks? And like pushing that envelope for every individual on an individual basis. It's
Well,
really wild.
oh, I mean, so and two again, and I hope I didn't sort of like misstate what I was doing, but also I have to mention, like, I was working for a company, and this was what the company I did the things that the company told me to do,
Yeah.
and but I'll say at the same time, they were very open. They were like, okay, you have 7 weeks. Here's 21 projects to choose from. Pick one, whichever one you want. If you feel like change it, as long as you get the point of the project. So if the point of the project is to make a car that rolls, with wheels, then make a car with wheels, but it doesn't have to be this one. You can put your own spin on it. They were very good about that. And
Was there free brick? Was there a lot of like extra brick to play with?
so much brick.
Oh, okay, okay. So I was
Yeah.
seeing it more, even more controlled, which is the
Oh,
direction
no,
I
no,
had
no,
to
no, no.
go when I did Technic or Power Functions programs. I started to have to go that route though, because otherwise
There's
I was spending my whole time trying to track down a Technic piece for people, and that
Right, and
was a
also you get the
nightmare.
kids who are like, you put a box of motors out, and then they want like 5 motors, even though they don't understand that, like, that's not going to help anything. But
Yes,
okay,
yes, yes,
um,
yes.
but they
More is better, obviously.
yeah, exactly.
I want every wheel should be individually powered, and the spare tire. I want that powered too. Let's do it.
Right, and so and funny enough, when so I worked for the same company online after lockdown started, and then I had even more freedom. And what I found worked best there were two different classes. They offered a free build class, and then they also offered a class where the kid could have a kit sent to them with X parts in it, and we would show them, okay, today we're going to build blah 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 out of those X parts.
Oh,
Today
that's
we're going to
cool.
build blah 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 out of those X parts. But my personal favorite ones, and the way that I will hopefully run my classes when I get started with that, is I found that the kids, like you said, are at their best when they're allowed to be as creative as possible, but still giving them a little bit of parameter. So my favorite classes were the ones where I say, okay, everybody, today we're gonna make robots. So everybody, we're gonna make a robot, use whatever bricks you have, and now I'm gonna show you some ways that you can do things for your robot. Like, I would show them, here's 3 different kinds of hinges, and you can use these to attach your arms and legs. Here's a couple of methods for making a head. Here's a couple of methods for doing this. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
do as I'm doing. It was like, make your own thing, and here's some cool things you could add to it that maybe you didn't know about. And that was really my favorite kind of teaching. But I did also enjoy, I think also too, I should say that the um, now you are at a library where I was working within the school system. So not only was I working for a company, but I was working for a company that was working within the school system. So there were rules about what, like, it had to have an educational element to it. It couldn't just be like, daycare where you just sit there and then they go, and and I also, although I think I wasn't supposed to, I did it at least once or twice, depending on how long the class was. Like, if it was a 2 or 3 month class, I would do like a couple of days that were just free build. And I'd be
Oh yeah.
like, okay, we're just gonna do a free build today. Maybe I wasn't feeling it that day, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But no, I would always offer them days of free build, and they loved it. And they always came up with such great stuff. It was
One
really
of the one of the things I learned first though, and it was super important, was that I needed to remove minifigures from the assortment, in order to get kids to focus on brick building.
yeah.
And it's not every kid that has an issue with it, but it became very apparent that minifigures have become so awesome that no matter who we are, we could spend an hour and a half easy just playing with minifigures.
Oh yeah.
So for any, there were some libraries that I worked with that had pre-established programs where minifigures were a part of it.
Hmm.
So I had to navigate that, by by sort of demilitarizing their assortment in order to peel back the amount of builds that focus specifically on conflict.
Oh yes.
There's a whole tangent there about Lego and their own stuff. And then also realizing that all my other programs should be minifigure free in order to encourage the kids to build brick built stuff, because you get a lot of kids who want to build out of the brick, but then you get the kids who would take the 16 by 16 plates, of which I provide a just superfluous number of for kids to build on.
As you should.
Always start with one. You can always get more.
Yep.
But you'd end up with a plate with like 5 to 20 guys on it.
Yeah.
All just like, "Argh." And that's, there's storytelling there, but it's not a lot of storytelling variety, and they wouldn't touch the bricks. So I always, and you can see it actually in my robots video on my YouTube, but I taught kids how to do a brick built minifig scale robot-ish thing, right? So it's 2 headlight bricks, jumper plate, a Travis brick, 2 1x2 clips, and then you can throw some legs on there of some sort, right? So anytime kids would ask me, like, do you have characters? I'm like, no, but I can show you how to build a character, to use in your build, and then you can customize it. And that was a great way to get a lot of kids who hadn't broken past the glass ceiling of, I have Lego sold me some facades as kits, and then minifigures, and like there's this glass ceiling, right, of like storytelling to like building, right? Like the building the sets for your scene, rather than just working with a void because you're imagining the rest of it, or working with just, a wall. And it was cool to help kids push past that by simply removing something. And again, not to knock minifigures, like it's partly because minifigures have become so awesome,
Right.
Like minifigures now, they front and back face printing, super awesome helmets and shoulder pads and chest armor and printed arms and legs. And, we've gotten the full, like the critical mass level of awesomeness for Lego minifigures.
Yes.
Which is great, but like there's so much more that these kids can learn by interacting with the bricks. Now, that's not to say that I don't use minifigures. I use them for any time I did like a longer program, like a 2 or 3 hour special for tweens where they get to do storytelling. I let them use all of my minifigures. So now when there are minifigures, it's like 1,000 pieces. And then they could really go crazy with the storytelling and have access to so many things that they'd never seen before. And it's fantastic.
I had I had, of course, a very similar experience with the minifigs. But because the kids knew our classes, they knew that I had a bin of minifigures. Like, they knew that it was in there, like, in my stuff. And so but that was constantly it. We'd go, okay, here was the project. We're going to build a car. Now everybody go build your cars. And I would pretty much have to make a rule where I was like, okay, well, if you want a driver for your car, you can have one, but you have to finish the project and I have to see it function. Like if it was something with a motor, I was like, okay, show me that you did the project and that it works, and then I will, and then we can do minifigs. And then I had to even go a step further because I had a little bin, with all of them lined up in there. And I'm sure you know this as well. I had to set a time limit on it. I was like, okay, you have 10 seconds to pick something, and I would count 10, 9, because otherwise they'll pick them all up and they'll look at them, or they'll start swapping pieces around,
or they start telling their stories right then and there, like with their friends, and it's like, well, there's other people that need access to this stuff. I know, it's awesome.
And I hated having to do that. Like that really, like I would not. That's not something that I wanted to do, but it was also unnecessary. Like it had to be that, or I would be standing there all day with a line of kids. Nobody would ever make the project, and like 3 people might get minifigures by the time it was all over.
A bit of brick bureaucracy.
Exactly. I mean, that's
required.
Well, and that's really a fine line, I think, when you're educating with something like Lego that is considered a toy and is considered fun time, and with a lot of times kids that are used to getting what they want, and having to tell them no sometimes was not something I relished, but something that was necessary.
Yeah, it's a wild middle ground. You're right, because like we're doing something educational, but it's with toys, and kids aren't really used to something in between where there are toys, but there's also some structure. So, having playing, finding that balance is, it's part of why they pay us, right? Because we figured out how to do that.
Right, right.
And it's, I think it's just so rewarding though. I think I was telling you about my favorite little build being that simple one that was the table on top of the little 2x4x2 high rounded brick with the face on it with the flowers on top and two little chairs next to it, and it was the conflict resolution table.
Oh, that's right, yes.
What a sweet little build. You've got a kid next to them who's doing an underwater gold mining giant robotic arm, and like the variety of things that they come up with it's incredible. If I can make it brief, one of my favorite stories about minifigures and holding back on stuff actually came from working with First Lego League.
Okay.
I did the juniors First Lego League here locally, and it was like we were talking about. It was less about the objective and more about getting there, like the journey. Getting this group of immediately after school, like elementary school kids, to work on a project together out of Lego.
Yeah.
That has to talk about. It was about saving endangered species. So the first thing was like working democratically to figure out what species we're going to save, because everybody's got an opinion. Multiple people ended up and I told them your homework assignment. And they were like, "What, homework with Lego?" And I was like, "Dude, it's Lego.
I know. Come on.
It's gonna be awesome." It was to draw and then bring in a picture of the animal that you wanted to save. And then we all brick built our animals. And then we did a democratic vote on whose animal we would save, based on their pitch and their designs. And so multiple people chose polar bears. So we ultimately ended up with this Arctic landscape, and they were remaking ice caps and developed non-human fish food delivery systems to take into polar bear territory. And then there was like a whole research lab about saving the polar bears. So finally I say, in the last couple of days, I'm like, okay, now you can make your minifigs and you can populate it. Now that we have our motorized element and we have our story and all these different things, and we're working on the whiteboard and stuff. And so a lot of the kids, I brought in specifically Arctic themed stuff. And so to touch on the whole Lego and conflict thing, one of the things I brought was the old VHS recorder.
Oh, right.
AKA Space Bazooka. And so one kid takes that and he turned it into a sniper. And I was like, okay, so we have a kid now who has brought conflict to our Saving the Polar Bears. So I talked with him about it. And I was like, so what's the deal? And he's like, well, it's to shoot people or whatever. And I was like who? I was like, we're out in the Arctic saving polar bears. Like, where's the danger? Thankfully it was not the polar bears, which is great.
Yes.
Awesome. Like off the bat, we were not hunting the polar bears. And I was like, well, do you know about the anti-poacher groups that actually work to protect endangered animals, using their sniper skills? And I was like, how do I make good of this situation? So I told the kid about the people mostly in Africa, working ex-military to protect endangered species like black rhino and elephants and lions. And he was like super fascinated and kind of turned his whole thing around and was like, oh cool, so I'm here to protect the team. And I was like, yeah, you're here to protect the team, protect the polar bears. Like, that works for me. Like, you can be here in this capacity. Like, I'd rather it not be this, but like, if you're dead set on it, sure, I'm not here to fight you. Like, let's make something good out of it. His dad came up to me at our presentation, and I was like, oh, here we go. His dad was an Army sniper, and he said in their house they have a deal where if you come with false information and someone will say, I've got $5, thinking that's false information, right? And so they thought that the story I told about ex-snipers working to protect animals against poachers was possibly false. So they looked it all up and they learned about it, and they were both blown away. And the dad, like, he wanted to like hug me. He was so moved by me being able to transform what was kind of a slightly ugly situation into this learning experience, into this positive thing, and all surrounding the storytelling with minifigures, and just that these opening these perspectives on how you can view that minifigure world and how it can mirror the real world
Mm-hmm.
in these ways that can, again, uplift conversations and bring some progress about it, even though it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It was such a heartwarming moment. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
And it's just like, thank you so much. Like, no, there aren't a lot of people that would have gone that extra mile. They'd have been like, oh, okay, this kid's like, well, we'll just either a hard no or like turning a blind eye. And I was like, no, we got to engage this because there's something going on here. And engaging it carefully and thoughtfully was perfect, because there was a reason that the kid wanted to do this beyond like, Call of Duty or something like that. It was so much more than that. And it's one of the coolest stories that I get to hold on to for my Lego educational career.
That's so awesome. I have to say, like, I unfortunately didn't have that kind of latitude. It was, like the rules with the school and the rules with the company I was working for is just like the weapons are not a thing. Like we don't. I mean, we do, like spears and things like that, but like guns and things were not like really a thing.
Oh, and I think that's the craziest thing, Flynn, is that I had gone out of my way to be like, okay, just Arctic research team stuff, and then it's like suddenly the snowshoe is it's like
it goes like that a lot. I mean, I had definitely had a couple of kids who gravitated towards that kind of stuff, and I tried to sort of like you did incorporate it in a more friendly way. But I have to say, for like a similar situation that I found myself in, and this was just more of like resolving behaviors for me, but it was we were building people were building castles, and then they said, well, can we build with other people? And I was like, yeah, build. Everybody doesn't have to build their own castle. You can build, but everybody has to work on it together. Like one person can't do all the work. So they started making them, and then all of a sudden their castles were like they were like fighting each other, and they were like throwing things, and then somebody's thing got knocked over, and there were tears, and there was yelling. And then it was, I mean, it like, I got it before, I handled it before it got out of hand. But, and I couldn't believe this worked, if I'm being honest. I could not believe this worked. I was like, well, they're like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that, and we're fighting and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, hey, what, because we're trying to get the treasure or whatever it was. I was like, hey, well, what if like all of the kingdoms worked together to get the treasure and then used it to like build another kingdom that links all the other kingdoms together? And it was like suddenly like the whole room went silent, and they were like, that's awesome. And then like everybody, and then suddenly like it turned from adversarial into like working together to achieve a common goal. And I thought that was I really didn't think that was going to work. And I was very surprised that it did.
You get lucky with those moments sometimes. I mean, it reminds me of was that thing that went viral, the guy who was playing D&D with his daughters and some friends, and he's like, you come across this wolf pack, and they're like, we're gonna eat you. And the girls all talked to each other, and they decided they were going to feed what they had of their packs to the wolves, and they ended up befriending them, and then they had like a wolf pack on their side and their team. And it's like the game had designed this to be a conflict moment, but the teaching, it was also the kids ended up with a teaching moment for the dad, right? That was like, you don't have to go to battle with these things necessarily. Like there is a second path. And yeah, sounds like you got lucky too, because I've seen those things unfold. I mean, less often than the awesome kid who happened to be overhearing that we needed a certain piece and is suddenly handing it to us across the table, before we even had to look.
Right. But, well, I mean, and I think that was the other thing too, is like there were so many projects that we did in my classes that were individual projects, like a car or whatever. And it was like with the express purpose of teaching the individual child how to use that battery pack, how to use that motor, like what it means to just power, that you only have to power the two wheels in the back or the front, to you don't have to have two motors running the two, like just like teaching them those basic like sort of STEM things. But I always loved the ones where I could get them to work together, and I would always make a point of it. I was like, look, we've done a lot of individual projects, but I want to do something where we work together. And I kind of mentioned this on Sunday's show. We would do these. It was a castle project, and I would build a tower, one castle tower, and I would build a small section of wall. And then I would say, okay, I want everyone in the room to build one section of wall and one tower. Give them to me. I will put them together, and I would lay out all these 32 by 32 base plates like a big map with a lake and like with water and all that stuff. And I said, and then you can go and build whatever you want for the inside, like the inside of the castle walls. And it fostered so much creativity and working together from the kids, because once they did their individual part and then saw that the individual parts together made one big giant thing, they were more inclined to work together to build the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Which and because that's not always obvious, that if everybody makes two little things and you put them together, it creates one big awesome thing. Like that's not always, and to they really went all out then, like sort of working together to create the other things. Like a couple of them were like, okay, we're gonna build all the boats that are gonna be out in the water, and we're gonna build this part, and we're gonna build the inside, and it was really fun to be able to work on group projects like that. And the funny thing was, up until then in my real, like my AFOL life of building, I had never done a collaboration with anyone but Richard. And then I discovered I'd done some collaborative builds with like people in my lug, like a train layout. But I hadn't really done a serious collaboration with people until we did Ewok Adventureland, and that was like a pre-planned. We really decided what each parts were going to do, and I don't know. And it's become one of my favorite things. I loved our Fab Max build. Like that was so much fun, and actually that reminds me, Blair, you had an idea.
I was gonna say this, the whole talking about castles and group projects, like it's a really natural segue. Hey, you can incorporate segues into this one. It'll be perfect.
No, so Blair had approached me with a really awesome idea. So we did the Fab Max mashup thing, and everybody just did such an amazing job. It was so cool, and I think and Blair has come up with a really cool next one. So tell us about this.
Okay, so I'm a cyberpunk fanatic. I love science fiction. I also love fantasy stuff. And my wife and daughter and I, we just finished rewatching Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit because, lots of time on our hands. And I saw this guy a while ago when I got the Overwatch set with Diva.
Yes.
And somehow, being a punster, I just thought, like, what if there was a cyberpunk Lord of the Rings, like Lord of the Pings, and this was Sauron, because it's so perfect for that. And I was working on some of the characters, like Simli. You got your little like cyberpunk
Simli, nice.
I got a couple other characters here, just sort of messing around with this whole like fantasy and cyberpunk together.
I love it.
You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's like the better version of Nexo Knights.
That's exactly it. Like Nexo Knights was cool, but it was kind of goofy. I don't know if you ever tried to watch the show. I did. It was.
I'm sorry.
And that series could have gone on to have so many more cool things. I don't know if anyone else saw that the book of monsters that they actually put out that talked about some of the other enemy themes that we didn't get, like the super cool forest ones with the evil mushrooms and evil trees and stuff. Like there was a lot of potential there. And with Cyberpunk getting pushed back and with just all this, again, time on our hands, I thought, like, what if we did a collaborative build that was a cyberpunk fantasy crossover? And it doesn't have to be Lord of the Rings. It's just a really funny, idea that came to me. And I was thinking, there could be like the memes of Moria with trolls and
That's
like
my favorite.
like all kinds of funny stuff. You can go anywhere with it, and it could be minifig scale. It could be other, it could be objects, life-size objects. I just think that we need to, as a fan community, rack our brains to push the like cyberpunk fantasy mashup to the nth degree. And I know that Tricky Lug can do it. After seeing the Fab Max thing and being a part of the inception for that concept, I mean,
Yes.
that was just too cool, people. I mean, the stuff that we all came up with, it was fantastic. I can't wait to see some of those things together at a convention someday. It's going to be one of the best displays ever. And I don't know. I think that there's a lot to chew on here.
There is.
There's a lot of jokes, and you can cyberpunk your favorite fantasy story, right? Like, it doesn't have to be just it doesn't have to be a new concept. It can be cyberpunk Princess Bride. It can be cyberpunk the Naked Lady Dragon show. That's what I never saw. Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that one.
What are you talking?
Like, we can cyberpunk any of these fantasy stories. You could do a cyberpunk Harry Potter.
I'm dying.
Okay.
I'm dying right now. No, I think that's a great idea, and I want to find some way to implement that.
One spinning ring to rule them all.
Exactly.
And in our darkness, bind them.
So I'm just say for right now, like we're not announcing anything official just yet, but I'm saying just like let that roll around in your heads a little bit. Lord of the Pings. See what you can come up with, because I know, like I already know, like Shane Levan and Moto have already probably each come up with a list of 25 hilarious puns.
The two towers. I mean, we could have desktop towers. Come on, people.
I know there's so much.
There's some gold to be mined in there. Bitcoin, rather. Bitcoin. You have, like some sort of Amazon-themed dragon on a mound of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would that be? Yeah, that would be. That's pretty great. Well, so anyway, lots to think about. That might. I think that has potential to be a really fun collaborative build for us. And thank you so much for coming up with that hilarious thing. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I couldn't resist, and it's too much for me to do on my own. I mean, I'm Tolkien-esque about a lot of things in my life, but this one I had to share with others because it's just going to be so much more fun if there are other people making jokes with me.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's one of the things that made Fab Max so great, is that like everybody gave their own version of the joke, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Especially all together. And the funny thing was, is even though all the builds were very, very different, they just like seamlessly all went together, which I thought was great.
Yeah. Now I'm envisioning some stop motion sequences, and I'm really
I know now. I know Yano. Okay. So actually, Monica Berry asked, "Have you decided for sure on the brickheads?" You know what? Especially since like the big sale days are coming up with the holidays and everything, let's go ahead, and I'm not going to give a date when we're going to do it just yet, because I want to make sure that everybody gets theirs, but we are going to do a challenge, a rebrick challenge, using the Mandalorian and Child brickhead set. It's $20. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Target, you can get it pretty much anywhere, I believe, right now. Go ahead and you can order that. If it's $20. If you cannot afford to buy the set, and you are going to for sure be involved in the challenge, you can email me, Flynn@TrickyBricks.com, and we can arrange to have one sent to you. We did that last time with the street sweeper. And we want to be able to do that again for people. It's one of the reasons, or one of the things that we're able to do because of our Patreon subscribers. And I wanted to say a quick shout out. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers for allowing us to be able to do this. And also, there were some people who gave money. Some of our viewers gave money to our Venmo last time to buy other people's sets, a sort of pay it forward kind of thing. and we didn't end up using all of it, so there's still a little bit of money in that fund to send people. So go ahead and please pick up that Mandalorian Child set, and it's actually going to be the seed of two challenges, two different challenges. One is going to be a rebrick challenge. The other one is going to be a make your own brickheads challenge. So that so that way it kind of has double duty. um, so just for the, and also too, bear in mind that if you can't afford it and you don't want to, you don't want us to send you one, you can always go up onto there's two things you could do. You could go up to Bricklink and you could find out what the pieces are and try to pull at least the non printed pieces out of your own collection. Or if you watched our stream on Monday, and I don't, although I have to say I don't know if the Mandalorian and Child is on there yet, but Christopher Coster showed us on Studio about how you can bring in an actual Lego set and it has all the parts there, and you could do it that way because we also encourage digitals if you need to do that. Okay, so yeah, so go ahead and pick those up. That I will say that challenge will probably be happening sometime in December. That'll be one of our December challenges. But don't forget that this week's challenge is build a building or location that is meaningful to you in some way. It is an architecture challenge, so we do prefer buildings or landscape with buildings, that kind of a thing. And thank you, Ms. Slowbrickta, for the reminder. As soon as we are done here, I will go to TrickyBricks.com and I will post the links to the form where you can upload for the slideshow. And thank you, Gary, Mullane, and thanks to everybody who joined in late. I see Charisma's here. How's it going? Yeah. Oh, Christopher Coster says that set works in studio. So there you go. If you want to give your hand at building something in the studio, that set is in. You can do that. So, oh, he said he just tried it. Very good. No, you cannot just buy the Coliseum Joel and send a picture of it. That doesn't count. That doesn't count as your entry. So I wanted to again just say thank you everybody so much for coming in and joining us today. Thank you, Blair, for coming on. I was so excited to sit and talk with another Lego educator about the stuff that we do. I have to say it is I've had a lot of jobs over the years. And I've had some that I loved, and that is my teaching job was one that I cherish, and I'm looking forward to being able to go online and do some classes again because man, I sure do miss it. But yeah, so thanks Blair so much for coming on and filling in today.
I wanted to say too that I'm usually a little late for things, so I'm trying to remind myself that the build to give thing is going on, and that's super, super awesome. And I was looking at these, and I was like, these are a great base for a super cool solstice ornament, so I'm probably going to make some of those today.
Yeah, we are going to be doing a build to give challenge actually for one of our maybe coming up this next week. We're going to do a build to give challenge. If you don't know what that is, you build a holiday ornament, you post it on social media, you hashtag it with build to give, and for everyone that shows up, every hashtag, Lego will donate a Lego set to a child in need. So it's an awesome program. So yeah. All right, well, thank you again, everybody, for coming today and joining us. Thank you, Blair, so much. And you can, don't forget that if you want to, if you need a copy of that Mandalorian and Child set, I need you to send me your mailing address. And I'm afraid this only counts for people in the U.S. I'm sorry. I can't actually order ones for people in Europe. It just doesn't work that way. But send me your mailing address, and I will go on Amazon and have one sent your way so that you can participate in that challenge. Until we see you next time, which will be Friday at 10 a.m. for our slideshow presentation with Yano River Blue, where we're going to look at all of your awesome buildings. Can't wait to see what those look like and to see what buildings mean to you. Ah, clicky.
I have it handy, you know.
This is awesome. Sorry, that's clicky always makes me laugh. Um, no, any Twitch this week? I'm not sure. I really have to focus on this commission that I have, so I don't know. Maybe maybe I'll do one tomorrow since we don't have a show here. I can take the time out tomorrow. But like I said, I'll let everybody know on the Discord server. If you're not already signed up to the Discord server, you can contact Shane Levan. He will be able to get you access. And it's 18 and over only, I believe. So, where am I at here? All right, so everybody, until we see you on Friday at 10 a.m. or if I go on to Twitch tomorrow, don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, wear your mask, get that flu shot, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.